The invitation arrived 3 months before the wedding. Cream cardstock, elegant calligraphy, my sister Caroline's name embossed in gold. I ran my finger over the letters, feeling the raised texture, and wondered if I should even go. My phone rang. Caroline's face appeared on the screen. A professional headshot from her LinkedIn profile that she used for everything. "You got the invitation," she said without preamble. "I did. Congratulations." "Thanks. Listen, about the seating arrangements." She paused, and I could almost hear her choosing her words carefully. "We're doing assigned seats. You'll be at table 12 with some of the younger cousins and, family members who are still finding their way." "The kids' table," I said flatly. "It's not the kids' table," she protested, but her tone was defensive. "It's just that the head tables are for family who've really established themselves, you know? Business owners, executives, people with careers. And you're still working on your little consulting thing, so we thought you'd be more comfortable with the failures," I finished. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." There was a long silence. "Look, Jen, I'm not trying to be mean. But you have to admit, compared to the rest of the family, you haven't exactly set the world on fire. You're 32, you work from home doing who knows what, you drive that old Toyota, you rent that tiny apartment. Mom and Dad are trying to put on a good show for Michael's family. They're very successful, very established. We just want everything to look appropriate." "Appropriate," I repeated. "Come or don't come," Caroline said, her patience wearing thin. "But if you do come, that's where you'll be sitting." "I have to go. The florist is calling." She hung up before I could respond. I stared at the invitation for a long time. Part of me wanted to throw it away, to skip the whole thing. But another part, the part that was still that little girl who'd looked up to her big sister, wanted to go. Wanted to hope that maybe just once Caroline would see me as an equal. I RSVP'd yes. The months leading up to the wedding were punctuated by family events that reinforced exactly where I stood in the hierarchy. At the engagement party, I was introduced to Michael's family as Caroline's younger sister who does consulting work. At the bridal shower, I sat with Caroline's college roommates while the important guests, her boss, her clients, Michael's business partners, occupied the main tables. At the rehearsal dinner, I wasn't invited at all. "It's just for the wedding party and immediate family," my mother explained when I asked. "You understand. I am immediate family," I pointed out. "Well, yes, but you're not in the wedding party and we have limited space and—" "Oh, honestly, Jennifer, do you have to make everything difficult? Can't you just be happy for your sister?" I was happy for Caroline. She'd found someone she loved. She was building a life. The fact that she'd spent the past 10 years making me feel inadequate didn't change that I wanted her to be happy. It just hurt that she didn't want the same for me. The wedding day arrived clear and beautiful. The ceremony was at a historic estate outside the city. All rolling lawns and elegant architecture. I drove there in my 15-year-old Toyota Camry, parking it in the far lot between a Mercedes and a BMW, both of which made my car look like exactly what my family thought it was, evidence of my failure to launch. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. A simple navy dress, elegant but understated. Pearl earrings my grandmother had given me. Low heels I could walk in. I looked professional, put together, and completely invisible. Exactly how I'd learned to present myself at family functions. The ceremony was beautiful. Caroline looked stunning in her Vera Wang gown. Michael was handsome and successful and exactly the kind of man my parents had always said Caroline would marry. During the vows, I found myself genuinely moved, hoping they'd be happy together. Then came the reception. The estate's ballroom was transformed into something out of a magazine. Crystal chandeliers, silk linens, elaborate floral centerpieces that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. A live band was setting up on the stage. The bar was already crowded with guests in designer clothes, drinking expensive champagne. I found the seating chart near the entrance. Table 1 through 6 were at the front, closest to the head table. Those were the VIPs. Michael's business partners, Caroline's boss and colleagues, my parents' friends from the country club. Tables 7 through 11 were the respectable family members. My successful cousins with their impressive job titles. My aunt and uncle who owned a chain of restaurants. My brother Thomas and his doctor wife. Table 12 was in the back corner, partially hidden by a decorative screen. I found my name card and looked at the other names at the table. My cousin Danny, who was 22 and still in college. My cousin Lisa, who'd recently been laid off. My uncle's stepson from his second marriage, who nobody really knew. And 3 seats marked +1 for cousins who'd been allowed to bring dates but weren't important enough for better placement. Say with the kids and cousins who didn't succeed, Caroline had said when I'd arrived early to help with last-minute details. She'd been directing the wedding coordinator, checking her clipboard, and had barely glanced at me. You don't belong with the successful family. I just nodded and walked away. What was the point in arguing? I sat down quietly at table 12 and introduced myself to my table mates. Danny was excited to talk about his plans after graduation. Lisa was putting on a brave face, but I could see the stress of unemployment weighing on her. The stepson, Marcus, seemed confused about why he was even there. I barely know these people, he said, gesturing at the room. My stepdad insisted I come. Said it would be good for me to see how successful families operate. Whatever that means. It means we're the cautionary tales, Lisa said with a bitter laugh. See that table? She pointed to table 7. That's the look how well we did table. And this. She gestured at our table. This is the don't end up like them table. That's harsh, Danny said. But accurate, I said quietly. A waiter came by with champagne. We all took glasses, though I noticed the champagne at our table wasn't the same brand being served up front. Even the alcohol had been tiered by importance. The reception officially began with the wedding party's entrance. Caroline and Michael were introduced to thunderous applause. They looked radiantly happy, and I pushed down the complicated mix of emotions in my chest. I could be happy for her and hurt by her at the same time. Both things could be true. Dinner was served. A choice of salmon or beef that was actually quite good, I had to admit. Our table made awkward conversation trying to find common ground. Danny talked about his major. Lisa asked me about my work and I gave my usual vague answer. I do marketing consulting. That sounds interesting, she said politely, though her eyes said she didn't quite understand what that meant. Neither did the rest of my family, which was exactly how I'd planned it. My phone buzzed in my clutch. A text from my COO. Client presentation went perfectly. They're signing the contract tomorrow. $18 million deal closed. I smiled and put my phone away. Tomorrow I'd celebrate. Tonight I was just Caroline's disappointing little sister at the loser table. After dinner the speeches began. My father went first, giving an emotional toast about his daughter and his pride in the woman she'd become. Caroline has always been driven, always been ambitious, he said. From her first day of school, we knew she was destined for great things. And look at her now. Senior marketing director at Patterson & Mills, one of the most prestigious firms in the city. We couldn't be prouder. The room applauded enthusiastically. And Michael, my father continued, you've built an incredible consulting firm from the ground up. 20 employees, major clients, a reputation for excellence. You two are perfectly matched. 2 ambitious, successful people building an incredible life together. More applause. Caroline was beaming. My mother went next, talking about how Caroline had always known what she wanted and gone after it with determination. She's never been afraid of hard work, Mom said. Never been content to just drift through life or settle for less than she deserved. The implication was clear, even if she didn't say my name. Caroline worked hard and succeeded. Unlike some people. Then it was the maid of honor's turn, Caroline's college best friend, now a lawyer at a big firm. She told cute stories about their friendship, about Caroline's organization skills and her fierce determination. When Caroline sets her mind to something, she makes it happen, she said. Whether it's landing a major client or planning the perfect wedding, she doesn't settle for anything less than excellence. The speeches were winding down. Just one more, the best man. Michael's best man Tyler took the microphone. He was tall, confident, wearing an expensive suit that fit him perfectly. According to the program, he was Michael's business partner in the consulting firm they'd built together. Good evening, everyone, Tyler began, his voice warm and engaging. For those who don't know me, I'm Tyler Morrison, Michael's business partner and best friend since business school. And I have to say, I've never seen him happier than he is with Caroline. The crowd awed appropriately. Michael and I started our consulting firm 5 years ago, Tyler continued. It's been an incredible journey full of challenges and triumphs. And one of the things I admire most about Michael is how he approaches growth. Carefully, strategically, always looking for the right partnerships. He clicked a remote and a screen behind him lit up with a presentation. Which brings me to something I'm excited to share tonight, Tyler said, his enthusiasm building. During the best man speech, he said, "The bride works in marketing and her company just landed their biggest client." Caroline looked surprised but pleased. She hadn't known Tyler was going to mention this. "Patterson and Mills has been pursuing this account for 2 years, Tyler continued. "It's a major coup for them and Caroline was the lead on the pitch. A tremendous accomplishment." He clicked to the next slide. The client they landed is a marketing analytics firm that's revolutionizing how companies approach data-driven marketing strategies. It's been called the future of marketing by Forbes. Business Insider listed it as one of the fastest-growing companies in America. And the contract Caroline's team negotiated is worth $4.2 million annually. The room buzzed with impressed whispers. Caroline was glowing with pride. My mother was actually crying. Tyler clicked again. He pulled up a slide. It showed my company logo. Summit Global Enterprises, a $4.2 billion marketing firm. My heart stopped. The room went silent as people processed what they were seeing. The Summit Global logo, a stylized mountain peak that I'd personally worked with designers to create 5 years ago, filled the screen in crisp detail. "Now here's the thing," Tyler said, and his voice had changed slightly. There was something knowing in his tone now. "Michael and I have been trying to land Summit Global as a client for our consulting firm for over a year. They're the Holy Grail, a company that's grown from a startup to a multi-billion-dollar enterprise in less than 8 years. They're selective about who they work with, incredibly careful about partnerships." He paused for effect. "So when Michael told me that his fiancé worked for the firm that was pitching Summit Global, I was thrilled. I thought maybe Caroline could put in a good word, help us get a meeting. But do you know what she told me?" Caroline's smile was faltering now. She looked confused. "She told me she didn't know anyone at Summit Global. That they were just a client and she didn't have personal contacts there." Tyler looked directly at Caroline. Which I thought was strange because Summit Global's CEO is famously hands-on. She personally oversees major client relationships. She would have been in those pitch meetings. The room was dead silent now. "So I did some research," Tyler continued. "And I discovered something fascinating." He clicked to the next slide. My sister went pale. It was a professional photo of me. Not the casual snapshots my family was used to, but my official headshot from the company website. Hair professionally styled, wearing a sharp business suit, looking directly at the camera with confidence I never showed at family gatherings. When he continued, "And we're honored the CEO is here tonight." Tyler's voice filled the ballroom. He pointed at me. Every head in the room turned. 300 people looking at table 12. At me sitting in the back corner with the cousins who didn't succeed. "Jennifer Harrison," Tyler said, and his voice was full of genuine respect now. "Founder and CEO of Summit Global Enterprises. Built the company from nothing in her living room 8 years ago. Grew it to a $4.2 billion valuation. Named one of Forbes' most powerful women in business. Fortune's 40 under 40. She's revolutionized marketing analytics, and her company is now one of the most sought-after partners in the industry." He clicked through several more slides, articles about Summit Global, photos of me speaking at conferences, our year-over-year growth charts, client testimonials. "Jennifer graduated top of her class from Stanford's Business School," Tyler continued. "She spent 3 years at Google developing their marketing analytics platform. Then she left to start Summit Global because she saw a gap in the market. Companies drowning in data but unable to use it effectively." Another click. A photo of our headquarters. A sleek glass building downtown that I deliberately never mentioned to my family. Summit Global now employs 342 people. They work with 67 of the Fortune 500 companies. And yes, Caroline's firm, Patterson and Mills, just successfully pitched to become Summit Global's PR and public relations partner. A $4.2 million annual contract. He paused, letting that sink in. "But here's what really interests me," Tyler said, and now his tone was pointed. "Michael and I have been desperately trying to get a meeting with Summit Global. We've sent proposals, made calls, reached out through every connection we have. We were told Summit Global CEO personally reviews all potential consulting partnerships and is very selective. He looked at Michael, then at Caroline. And all this time Michael's future wife had Summit Global CEO at family dinners, at holiday gatherings, sitting right there at table 12. The ballroom erupted in shocked whispers. People were pulling out phones, Googling frantically. I could hear fragments of conversation. That's really her? Summit Global is worth billions? She's been sitting back there this whole time? Oh my God, look at these articles. My mother had gone completely white. My father looked like he'd been punched. Caroline was staring at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Shock, confusion, and something that might have been betrayal. Thomas, my brother, spoke into the stunned silence. Jen, is this true? I stood up slowly. All eyes in the room were on me. Yes, I said simply. It's true. Tyler gestured for me to come forward. Please, Jennifer. I think everyone would love to hear from you. I walked from table 12 to the stage. Felt like walking through water. Every step heavy, every eye tracking my movement. When I reached Tyler, he handed me the microphone with an apologetic smile. I'm sorry for ambushing you, he said quietly so only I could hear. But Michael told me how his fiancé's family treats her sister. I thought it was time everyone knew who they'd been dismissing. I took the microphone and looked out at the crowd. At my parents frozen in shock. At my brother looking confused. At Caroline, whose carefully planned perfect wedding had just been completely derailed. At Michael, who was staring at me with dawning recognition. Oh my God, he said. The Harrison from Stanford. You're that Harrison. I read your thesis on predictive marketing models. It changed how I approach client analytics. Thank you, I said. It's nice to meet you officially, Michael. Congratulations on your marriage. Why didn't you say anything? My mother called out, her voice shrill. All these years you let us think. You never asked, I said simply. You asked what I did for work and I told you, marketing consulting. You saw the car I drive and the apartment I rent and decided that meant I was unsuccessful. You never asked for details. Never asked to see my office or meet my colleagues or understand my work. But you let us believe. I let you believe what you wanted to believe, I corrected gently. You needed someone to look down on, someone to compare Caroline to and find her more impressive. I gave you that. It was easier than fighting for validation I didn't need from people who'd already decided I wasn't worth their respect. That's not fair, Caroline said, finding her voice. She stood up, her wedding dress rustling. We didn't look down on you. Didn't you? I looked at her directly. You seated me at table 12, Caroline. With the cousins who didn't succeed. You told me I didn't belong with the successful family. Because you never told us, she protested. How were we supposed to know you'd built some massive company when you actively hid it from us? I didn't hide it, I said. I just didn't announce it. There's a difference. If you'd Googled my name even once in the past 8 years, you would have known. If you'd asked what my company did, I would have told you. If you'd shown even the slightest curiosity about my life, I would have shared it. Tyler spoke up. For the record, Jennifer has been featured in Forbes, Fortune, Business Insider, Wall Street Journal, and TechCrunch. She's been a keynote speaker at South by Southwest, TechCrunch Disrupt, and the Global Marketing Summit. She's won Entrepreneur of the Year from 3 different organizations. The information wasn't hidden, you just never looked. Why would we look? My father said, his voice defensive. You drove an old car. You rented a small apartment. You dressed simply. Everything about you suggested. Suggested what? I interrupted. That I wasn't materialistic? That I didn't need to prove my worth through expensive displays? That I was secure enough in my success that I didn't need validation from luxury goods. I clicked the remote Tyler had left on the podium, pulling up a new slide. A photo of my apartment building. This is where I live, I said. You're right that I rent. I rent the penthouse of this building in Soho. Rent is $18,000 a month. I rent because I don't want the hassle of ownership, not because I can't afford to buy. Another click. This car is 15 years old. It runs perfectly. It's reliable and paid off and gets me where I need to go. I could buy something flashier, but why? To impress people at stoplights? To prove something to strangers. Another click. A photo of my office wardrobe. Simple, elegant, expensive in a way that didn't announce itself. I dress simply because I work in tech. Half my meetings are with engineers who wear t-shirts and jeans. The other half are with executives who appreciate understated elegance over obvious displays of wealth. Everything I wear is well-made and tailored. You just never looked closely enough to notice. My mother was crying now. You made us look like fools. No, I said firmly. You made yourselves look like fools by judging your daughter based on superficial markers instead of actually knowing her. By valuing status over substance. By treating me like a failure because I didn't perform success the way you expected. I looked at Caroline. You landed a major client and you should be proud of that. Your team worked hard. You earned that contract. But Caroline, you might want to know why Summit Global chose Patterson and Mills. She looked at me warily. I clicked to another slide, the final presentation slide from Patterson and Mills' pitch. Your team was good, I said. But there were 3 other firms in the final round that were equally good. You won because during the Q&A you mentioned that you understood family businesses. That you came from a close family. That you knew how to balance professional success with personal relationships. I paused, letting that land. I was in that meeting, I said quietly. I was the one asking the questions. And I thought maybe this is a chance. Maybe working together, having this professional connection, would finally make you see me as someone worth knowing. So I advocated for your firm. I pushed for Patterson and Mills over the other finalists. I gave you that $4.2 million contract because I wanted to build a bridge between us. Caroline's face crumpled. Jen. But then I got the wedding invitation, I continued. And I was at table 12. And I realized that even a multi-million-dollar contract that I hand-delivered to your company, wasn't going to change how you saw me. Because you didn't want to see me differently. You needed me to be the failure so you could be the success. The ballroom was completely silent. Even the band had stopped their pre-dance preparations to listen. So here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice calm but firm. I'm going to leave this beautiful wedding. I'm going to go home to my penthouse apartment. Tomorrow I'm going to go to my office and run my $4.2 billion company. And you all are going to decide what kind of relationship you want with me going forward. What does that mean? Thomas asked. It means I'm done being your cautionary tale, I said. I'm done being the person you compare yourselves to and feel better about. I'm done accepting scraps of respect and being grateful for them. If you want me in your life, it's going to be as an equal. As someone you respect and value. Or not at all. You're our family, my mother said desperately. You can't just. I can, I said simply. And I will. Because for 8 years I've tried to earn your respect by achieving things. I built a company. I created jobs. I changed an industry. And none of it mattered because you never looked. You never cared. You were comfortable with your narrative and you didn't want facts getting in the way. I handed the microphone back to Tyler. Thank you for the introduction. I apologize for disrupting the celebration. Don't apologize, he said. This needed to happen. And for what it's worth, I'd still love that meeting to discuss a potential consulting partnership. I smiled. Call my office Monday. We can set something up. As I walked toward the exit, I heard Caroline call out, Jen, wait. Please. I stopped but didn't turn around. I'm sorry, she said, and her voice was thick with tears. I'm so sorry. You're right about everything. I did need you to be less successful so I could feel more successful. I did look down on you. And I was so wrong. I turned to face her. She was standing now, mascara running down her face, looking genuinely devastated. I don't know how to fix this, she said. But I want to. I want to know you. The real you. Not the version I made up in my head. Then you're going to have to do the work, I said. You're going to have to actually ask questions and listen to answers. You're going to have to stop comparing and start connecting. You're going to have to see me as a person, not as a reference point for your own success. I can do that, she said. I want to do that. I looked at her for a long moment. At my sister who'd spent our entire lives competing with me even when I wasn't competing back. Who'd treated me like I was less than. Who was now for the first time actually seeing me. Call me after your honeymoon, I said. We'll have coffee. Just us. And we'll talk. Really talk. Thank you, she whispered. I nodded to Michael. Congratulations again. Michael, call me Monday. I'd like to talk about how Summit Global can help promote your consulting firm. You do good work. You deserve good exposure. His eyes widened. You do that? After? You didn't do anything wrong, I said. And besides, any company Caroline chose to work for must have something good about it. She has excellent professional judgment, even if her personal judgment sometimes needs work. That got a surprised laugh from Caroline, wet and emotional. As I walked out of the ballroom, people parted to let me through. Some looked ashamed. Some looked odd. Some looked like they were mentally recalculating every interaction they'd ever had with me. My mother caught my arm as I passed. Jennifer, please. Can we talk? Not tonight, I said gently. Tonight is Caroline's night. Let her have it. We can talk later. But I need you to understand. I understand perfectly, I said. You wanted me to be impressive but not too impressive. Successful but not too successful. Enough to make you proud but not so much that I overshadowed Caroline. It's a narrow tightrope and I got tired of walking it. So I stepped off. I kissed her cheek. I love you, Mom. But I need you to love all of me, not just the parts that fit your narrative. Figure out if you can do that and then we'll talk. Outside, the evening air was cool and crisp. I pulled out my phone and called my driver. Mrs. Harrison, he answered. Are you ready for pickup? Yes, please, David. I'm at the front entrance. The Bentley or the Range Rover? I smiled. The Range Rover. And David? Let's take the long way home. I want to enjoy the drive. 10 minutes later, I was settled in the back of my Range Rover, one of 3 vehicles I owned but never drove to family events. David had classical music playing softly. I'd kicked off my heels and was looking out at the city lights. My phone buzzed with texts. From Thomas, I'm an idiot. Can we talk? Really talk? I want to know my sister. From Lisa at table 12, holy shit. Holy shit. You're my hero. Also, can Summit Global use a graphic designer? Asking for a friend. The friend is me. From Danny, that was the most badass thing I've ever seen. You're officially my favorite cousin. And one from a number I didn't recognize. This is Tyler Morrison. I know I said Monday, but I can't wait. Can we set up a meeting ASAP? Also, you should know Michael had no idea about the seating arrangement. He's furious with Caroline about it. He wants to apologize personally. I responded to each one. To Thomas, coffee next week? Wednesday afternoon works for me. To Lisa, send your portfolio to Jennifer at summitglobal.com. We're always looking for talented designers. To Danny, thanks. Keep being authentic. It's the only way to live. To Tyler, Thursday 2 p.m. at my office. Bring Michael. Let's talk about what a real partnership looks like. The texts kept coming. Cousins I barely knew, family friends, even some of Caroline's friends asking about job opportunities or just expressing amazement. One text stood out. From my father, I've failed you as a father. I don't know how to fix it, but I want to try. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. I read it 3 times, tears blurring my vision. Then I typed back, I'm proud of me too. That's the difference, I don't need your pride anymore. But I'd like to rebuild a relationship where we can share pride instead of me performing for yours. His response came immediately, I'll do better. I promise. We'll see, I typed back. Actions, not words. David caught my eye in the rearview mirror. Eventful evening, ma'am? You could say that. Are you all right? I thought about it. Was I all right? I'd just blown up my sister's wedding reception. I'd publicly called out my entire family. I'd walked away from the role I'd played for 8 years. The quiet, unsuccessful younger sister who made everyone else look better by comparison. Yeah, I said, surprised to realize it was true. I'm actually really all right. When we pulled up to my building, the doorman greeted me warmly. Good evening, Ms. Harrison. Did you enjoy the wedding? It was memorable, I said with a smile. Upstairs, my penthouse was quiet and beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Art I'd collected from young artists I wanted to support. Books everywhere, on shelves, on tables, stacked in cozy reading corners. My laptop on the dining table, where I often worked late into the night building the company my family had never bothered to learn about. I changed into comfortable clothes and poured a glass of wine. Then I sat by the window and looked out at the city lights, thinking about the evening. My phone rang. Caroline. I considered not answering, but curiosity won out. Hey. I'm on the terrace, away from everyone, she said, her voice raw from crying. Jen, I'm so sorry. Not just wedding sorry. Everything sorry. Our whole lives I've treated you like you were less than me, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I know. How did you stand it? All those years of us dismissing you, looking down on you, and you just let us. I didn't let you, I corrected gently. I chose not to fight you. There's a difference. Fighting would have meant making my success about you, about proving you wrong, about competing for mom and dad's approval. But my success was never about you, Caroline. It was about me building something meaningful. She was quiet for a moment. When did you get so wise? Probably around the same time I realized I didn't need your validation to know my worth. I want to do better, she said. I want to be a better sister, a better person, but I don't know how. Start by seeing me, I said simply. Not the version of me that fits your narrative. Not the sister who's supposed to be less successful so you can feel more successful. It's me. The actual person I am. I'd like that, she said softly. Coffee after the honeymoon? Coffee after the honeymoon, I confirmed. And Jen, thank you for not canceling the Patterson and Mills contract. I know you could. I'm not going to punish your company for your personal mistakes, I said. They did good work. They earned that contract. But Caroline, you might want to mention to your boss that the CEO who approved the deal is your sister. It'll make future communications easier. Oh God, she said, and I could hear her mortification. How do I even have that conversation? However you want. But I'd suggest starting with honesty. It's a good policy. After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my penthouse and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Hope that maybe, finally, my family could see me. Hope that we could build something real instead of performing roles we'd been assigned. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Tyler with a photo attached. Michael and Caroline standing together at their wedding, looking happy despite the disrupted reception. The caption read, "They're going to be okay. And for what it's worth, you just became a legend in the consulting world. Everyone at this wedding is talking about the billionaire sister at table 12. You've got 10 meeting requests already." I smiled and set my phone aside. Tomorrow I'd go back to being Jennifer Harrison Sue. Tonight I was just Jen sitting in her home feeling lighter than she had in years. Because for the first time in a long time I wasn't hiding. I wasn't performing. I wasn't shrinking myself to fit someone else's narrative. I was just me. Successful, flawed, complex, real me. And that, I was learning, was more than enough.